Game on! Chew on Sports is here. Welcome. I am Zachary Van Meter, and as always, my player 2 is Chris Temple, and we are here to bring it. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, world. How are you doing this afternoon?
We, as always, have a show that is quite packed full of information. As always, we are local here based in Dallas, so the majority of our nuggets will be local based, but we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. We are going to continue our breakdown of the NFL. The AFC North is the breakdown today. Chris has the Steelers and America's favorite team, the Browns. And I'm breaking down the Bengals and Ravens. Next week, we will close out our AFC breakdown. We are doing which division's left, Chris? It's the Raiders division, right? The West?
Yeah.
So we'll close it out with the AFC West. We'll also be talking a little NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. Chris and I have both compiled our first NBA Rookie Draft 1.0. Just picks 1 through 10. We're not getting quite crazy with it yet. And we're going to talk a little NBA first teams and rookie first teams. So lots of good stuff. So before we get started, we're going to do a little entertainment action. Game of Thrones is over, so we have no show really to talk about right now. I actually started watching Westworld to try to see if I could have something fill the void. But that's a topic for another day. So what did you think about Game of Thrones?
Well, I'm like the majority of people. I hated the ending.
You hated the ending?
I was not a fan of it.
How are you wanting it to end?
Well, Tyrion talked about how Bran the Broken has a great story and all that.
Okay.
Jon had the best story out of everybody. Jon should have been. Bran didn't want to even be king of Winterfell. He didn't want to be.
Well, neither did Jon, though, right?
But Jon accepted the role.
Yes.
Bran even said he was no longer Bran anymore.
He was a three-eyed raven.
Exactly. How can somebody that's not who he used to be the person that he is now and become the king of the Six Kingdoms? Because
I don't know.
Exactly.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I like dialogue. Like, I'm a big, I like Quentin Tarantino movies because I like the long monologues, I like good conversation. So, in this episode, in my opinion, Tyrion kind of did what Tyrion does best, which is talk. So I did enjoy that aspect of it. Yeah. I do like how Tyrion pretty much put Inception inside Jon's mind and made him in Dany himself. He was basically had a few things he was going to say to her. And spoiler alert, if he didn't get the answer that he wanted, he was going to go ahead and end her. So that was... I dug that part of it, but I get it. I looked at Tara, I'm like, I can't wait to look at Facebook because people are just going to hate every bit of this episode. Tara's my wife, by the way, for the podcast world. And so there's that. So other entertainment news before we get into the sports. Chris and I like to entertain, and we like to be followed. And you can always hit us up on Twitter. I am at Chew on Sports on Twitter. And Chris, what is your Twitter handle?
CTemp03.
Perfect. And then I've started to be very active posting things on Instagram as well. It's at TechmoZach, which is also my surname on Twitter as well. So I am geeking out right now about Terminator Dawn of Fate. Have you seen this trailer?
I did. I watched it yesterday.
Are you amped up like I am? Or are you cautiously optimistic? Or are you hating it?
Well, it's the original director and everything, right?
Well, he's producing it, not directing it. The director is actually the guy who directed Deadpool.
Okay, yeah, well, then I'm excited.
And he has a $150 million budget.
I'm excited.
And Linda Hamilton's in it, and she looks pretty badass, if you want my honest.
I didn't see any sign of John Connor in there, though.
I don't think he's in it. I don't... No one knows. They're keeping the story under wraps right now, which is really good. What I did gather was I found this on the interweb, so give me 1 second and I will share it with the people because I'm sure the people want to know what Terminator Dawn of Fate is all about. So there's a dark-haired girl. She is the new Sarah Connor. She looks like she's late teens, early 20s possibly. And James Cameron confirmed the Terminator sent back in time to kill her because she is of great significance to the new future that's now in the new timeline of them defeating Judgment Day. For those of you who don't know what this new Terminator is about, it takes place after Terminator 2. It's as if 3, 4, and all the rest never existed. So, new timeline, something else. James Cameron's like, hey, I'll make one, but I want to reboot. I don't want a part of these stories that I didn't sign off on, basically.
Yeah.
before that, she's just a normal woman. She's unaware of what's involved. They chose the dark-haired girl as a Mexican in Mexico City because they wanted to make the movie relevant by mixing it in with all the immigration stuff going on right now with U.S. and Mexico. Sarah Connor is the age that she's aged. She's older. She's a Terminator hunter. She's figured out a way to know exactly where they're going to show up and be there so she can end them when they're unprepared. So just full-on arsenal, ready to go. It's going to be rated R, so Terminator's going back to the R rating of the first two. Arnold is in it, and he is a T-800. He may or may not say, "I'll be back." They say he's the most interesting T-800 you've seen. He has a few cheesy lines, like the first and second one. I'm hearing rumors he might even be a bad guy. Not confirmed yet. The new Terminator is called Rev 9, and this Terminator apparently can take two shapes. Did you see that?
Yes.
He can be the liquid Terminator and the skeleton Terminator that also has knives and everything else. So that's pretty sweet. The whole story takes place over 36 hours, much like Terminator 2 or Terminator 1, where it's just a few-day period of being hunted.
Yeah.
So they kind of brought that back. It's not complex. It's grim. It's gritty. It's fast. And it's intense. He describes it, James Cameron, as a white-knuckle ride. Very much like the first movie, where this kind of creates that I'm on the run. I'm always going, right? And then Judgment Day is inevitable. In T2, they just kick the timeline down the road a little bit, is the moral of the story. So, reasons why I'm excited about this is, number one, I'm going to get a Terminator movie, which is one of my favorite franchises, and a Star Wars movie in back-to-back months in November and December. So I'm pumped about that, and it just seems like they're going back to the roots, man. I'm an 80s kid, early 90s kid, right? So I like Terminator, I like Predator, I love all of these things. So going back to something I love and being original with it, or not original, but sticking to a formula that worked is good stuff to me. So what are your thoughts about all these little nuggets I just gave you about Terminator?
Well, there's a lot to take in. There's apparently a lot of stuff going on in the new Terminator. I like the way, I agree Arnold shouldn't say, "I'll be back." This probably really is his last movie.
Probably.
Yeah.
Unless they make one, like, it does so well they decide to start production, like, tomorrow on another one.
I mean, it'd have to be greenlit. I mean, it would be next year when they would greenlight it, like,
right.
After the first month.
So, yeah, he probably would be done.
Yeah, I think he's...
And they could. Like, they had the right idea. You saw Terminator Salvation? Did you see that movie?
Yeah.
They had the right idea with that movie, even though they had him as a digital cameo, but it was in the future. It was mainly just metal Terminator, so they could go that route. If the war never can really be stopped, eventually we should get a movie that is that full-on, full force. They tried it with Salvation, but it just bombed because of other giant plot holes and things of that nature. So, yes, I'm very, very excited, counting down the days, if you will. And I'm excited to see where it goes. My wife and I are actually, she's tasked me with the idea of finding a new show to watch, right, now that Game of Thrones is over. That's something we do together. A lot of couples have the things that they do, and ours is watch shows. Now, unfortunately, we're very, very lazy and normally just stick to what's on Netflix, like watching reruns of The Office or Friends or whatever, right? And there's not too many newer shows that we like, so I turned on Westworld. I'm like, hey, I'm going to give this a go. Yeah, she's not about it. It's too sci-fi, and, well, there's boobs in every episode. Like, lots of boobs. Like, it's just, I think there was, like, 8 topless scenes in one episode, but neither here nor there. So, I actually suggested, because I'm on this Terminator high, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Have you ever seen that show?
No.
It came on Fox, like, in 2008. It's actually Cersei. Forgive me for that.
Oh, sorry. No, I did see that. It only ran like 2 seasons.
Yeah, it ran 2 seasons. It wasn't bad. But anyway, it's the story of Sarah and John on the run. It takes place after T2. It's actually canon. It can be canon for the story if you really kind of factor it in where they're going. So we're going to start watching it tonight, actually, after we do the pod. I bought season 1 on Blu-ray, and we're going to start watching it. And hopefully she doesn't hate it, because I like some Terminator action. So that would be good. And I promised her there's no boobs, since it was on Fox.
There is a little time skip in there.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see how that treats me. So, and then besides that, just trying to recover and get back into all this. It's slow in sports right now, man. Baseball's really the only thing going on because NHL's on a break. Stanley Cup starts Monday. We've got the St. Louis Blues. Good for them. I said that I'd like to see the St. Louis Blues win since they knocked out our Stars. And are you kidding me with Boston, dude? They're in another championship. Did you see the kid holding the sign? Have I talked to you about this yet?
No.
There was a kid in the Boston Bruins game. This was like probably game 4. He's holding a sign. I'm 15. I've seen 14 championships. Give me a freaking break, dude. Like, seriously. Are you kidding me? Between the Red Sox, the Patriots, and all that.
That community should go the next 100 years without a championship.
Oh, my gosh. I just want one in the next 5, and I'll be ecstatic. Jeez, dude.
I mean, the last major one we had was almost 10 years ago. It was in 2011 when the Mavs won.
Right. Gosh. So, anywho, I hope St. Louis wins. I don't think they will. I think Boston's going to win.
I got St. Louis winning in 7.
Good. I'm rooting for them. That's what I want.
Yes.
They work. I don't know if we covered it on the pod or not, so forgive me, but to the NBA we go. I told everybody I thought Raptors in 6, even though I want Milwaukee to win, and it looks like that's what's going to happen. The Raptors just lost. The Raptors just won, in Milwaukee. It's the first team that won on the road in this series so far.
It's also the first time the Bucks have lost 3 in a row.
Right, and now
it's going back to
we go to Toronto, which is a tough place to play. I mean, you get Drake giving coaches back rubs and what's going on here, man?
Yeah,
I mean, that's why the coaches have said he's not getting. Drake should rub his back too. Maybe he'd be okay with it, but. Let me ask you a question. Is Drake going to get a technical foul called on him?
He should have.
Where the Milwaukee Bucks will get a free point off Drake's antics.
The Bucks coach was right when they asked him about it.
I think you're right. I think that
he's in an area that he is not allowed to be in.
I think the officials are going to assign a technical foul next game. Spoiler alert. And I think that Toronto ends it. And I think they win and go to the NBA Finals, which is going to make this summer that much more tantalizing and interesting. You know, as we get closer.
Did you hear what? Speaking of tantalizing, did you hear what Toronto's doing?
Yes, with the free home. Is that what you're talking about?
No. They got these Kawhi stickers. It's called Kawhi something, and these big old stickers, and these restaurants and stuff are sticking them in their window. And if Kawhi Leonard re-signs with the Toronto Raptors, he will get free food and drink there for life.
Wow.
And they said there's over 50 restaurants and stuff in the area that have done it so far.
A large mortgage company also offered the man a free home, like a free $1 million mansion, like more than $1 million. I don't know what the dollar
There's a law firm that offered him their services too. They said we'll do whatever you want for free.
Yeah, he's gonna leave. And you know what's funny is that I'm having this eternal debate, if they make the finals, is it harder for him to leave? And the answer is no. LeBron James made the finals last year and he left, right? I mean,
but you got to think LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard are completely different. LeBron James is self-centered.
Well, sure, but look at it this way: LeBron 4 straight finals in Miami, left, went to Cleveland. Was it 3 or 4 straight in Cleveland?
4,
and then left. So it's not that they're the same guy, and I'm with you, but LeBron's made it where it is what it is.
Well, LeBron also needs to pump the brakes, too. LeBron is actively recruiting Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi Leonard is playing for Toronto.
Yeah.
And there's rumblings that are coming out that Kawhi Leonard has lost all respect for him because of this.
Of course. And I wouldn't think that Kawhi... even in a video game, I don't think Kawhi and LeBron works.
Why would you want to play... Why, if you're Kawhi Leonard, would you want to play with him?
Yeah, I don't think so.
If I'm Kawhi Leonard, though, I think I might actually stay in Toronto.
I would stay in Toronto. I would. Because you travel so much in basketball season anyway... Live the summer in you can just live the summer in LA.
Yep.
Travel. I mean, you're traveling anyway. What does it matter? You pay less taxes. You get free healthcare.
He's from LA though.
What? So?
LA's home. That's the problem. He's one of those kids that actually wants to play at home.
And that would be for the Clippers.
Well, he was a Lakers fan growing up, but I think he'd rather play for the Clippers.
It's interesting. So we'll see. And Jimmy Butler's Kyrie Lakers, Jimmy Butler Lakers. These are all the rumors that are coming out right now. Everybody else is pretty quiet. On the Mavs front, we're getting a lot of talk right now about Kemba still. That even though he made the and you have this pulled up, right, the NBA first team. So before we get into that, we'll talk about the rookies.
Kemba made the third team.
Right, Kemba's on the third team, which means
he gets a supermax.
He's eligible for a supermax if he wants to stay in Charlotte, which is what, $37 million more?
31
than any other team can offer.
I think it's 31.
We'll see, man. That makes things interesting for sure.
It's about $5 or $6 million extra a year.
Well, that's why they do these things, so they can try and keep guys at home. So we'll see. We'll see where his allegiances lie and everything else. Kimba's a good dude, man. So I'm not really going to hate on any decision that he makes. Kimba's not a guy where I'll be upset if he doesn't come to the Mavs, or even if he doesn't give the Mavs a meeting. I'm a realist when it comes to everything, and I'm totally, like I told everybody last pod, if the Mavs go in the direction of Julius Randle and Pat Bev, or whatever direction they go in, I'm fine with.
If they got Randle and Bev, I'd be ecstatic.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have financial flexibility for probably the next 5 years.
Well, I mean, especially if Powell has actually opted out.
Well, yeah, the rumor is that per Yahoo, he opted out.
And NBC.
And that freed up $10 million more. Rumor is that he's going to come here, but other teams are going to talk to him. So there's a bunch of moving pieces here. Mike Fisher of our local sports here in Dallas is saying this isn't true.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. So lots of moving pieces. But the bottom line is with the Mavs, as far as they go in free agency, if they don't get Kimba or fill in the blank, they're going to be kind of freed up, in my opinion, money-wise, because Pat Bev's not a guy you give a 5-year deal to, right? He's going to sign a 1-year deal, 2-year deal probably?
No, I mean,
maybe 2 years with a 1-year opt-out?
Pat Beverly's probably going to get a 3 to 5 year deal.
I don't think he only got a 1 last year. But he was traded, right? He was traded to the Clippers, so I'm not sure what the deal is. So I'm intrigued by it.
He only makes somewhere between 6 and 8 million.
Julius Randle signed a 2-year deal. Is he a guy that realizes that I haven't reached my full potential yet? I'm going to keep signing 2-year deals where I have the option to get out of it because the salary cap keeps rising, a la Kevin Durant. So there's a lot of interesting pieces. So now if the Mavs go in on Kimba, with Luka coming up, with Porzingis, you think that they're going to obviously have that 3 men locked in for the next 4 to 5 years. That's most of your money, if not all of it, and then you're filling the gaps with everything else. So I'm intrigued. I do think that if we miss out, the roster they build is going to be super competitive, a playoff contender, but they'll be able to construct more pieces the next year because I think if Cuban doesn't get exactly what he wants, and Donnie, I think they're going to kind of be flexible to where they can re-sign players or move on and bring others in. And I could be wrong, but that's kind of the formula they've kind of had the last decade anyway.
Yeah.
So, that's there. So, who made the NBA first team?
All right, so the NBA first team, you had obviously Antetokounmpo,
The Greek
Harden,
Freak.
The Greek Freak. You had Jokic, Curry. LeBron actually didn't make it for the first time.
On the first team?
Yeah, on the first team in forever.
So do you agree?
You also had Paul George make it as well.
Oh, Paul George totally deserved it.
Well, LeBron was injured too much this year to put him on first team.
Right. Well, I agree with Paul George. Paul George, if he didn't slow down the last 6 weeks, would be a legit MVP candidate in my eyes. In fact, he's also nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken.
He is.
And Greek Freak, in my opinion, is the MVP this year. I mean,
he should be.
They don't go by playoffs, but he's been the best player in the playoffs too, I think, besides Kawhi. But it's between him and Harden, so we'll see how they roll and how that goes. But I certainly feel that they nailed it. I think they hit it right. And Jokic, I don't think Embiid got slighted because he was also injured. I think Jokic was I think that was the right call for the starting center as well.
Yep.
I really do. I agree with the list. So who's on 2? Who's the second team?
So on 2 you got Joel Embiid, as you mentioned, Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard, and Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
I'm not sure how Kyrie Irving made this list.
Because of the injuries?
Yes.
Okay. Who would you have put before him?
Before Kyrie? Well, I mean, Kyrie's a point guard, but I think you'd much rather have Klay Thompson.
Okay, I could agree with that.
So, Klay didn't make the third team. He didn't make any of them, so you move one guard up and put Klay on the third.
So you say you'd scratch Kimba probably off the list?
No, I'd move Kimba up to 2. The reason why Klay didn't make it is because Klay had a horrible shooting year.
Okay, so you move Klay to the third team and Kimba up 1.
Yes.
And move Kyrie off completely.
Yes.
And then who's the NBA third team?
So on the third team, we've got Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, LeBron James, Rudy Gobert, and Kemba Walker.
I don't think I can disagree with that list. You've got probably the Defensive Player of the Year in Gobert, and Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double again. I mean,
how's a guy that averages a triple-double on the third team?
Well, maybe it's because his team was the 7th seed. First, no, they were
his teammates
they were
on the
third
first
or
team.
fourth. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. He's averaged a triple-double, what is it, 3 years in a row now?
Yeah, 2 or 3 for sure.
It's wild.
That's hard to do.
So they announced the all-rookie first team as well, and this is interesting because this is the first time since 1984 that it literally is the top 5 picks. So in 1984-85, the first 5 picks of the draft were Charles Barkley, Sam Bowie, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Sam Perkins. And that was actually your NBA first team. So this year, it was the same way. This year, it was also the first 5 picks in the draft were all there. So you've got Luka, you've got Trae Young, you've got Ayton, you have Jaren Jackson, and you have Marvin Bagley. And I agree completely. I don't disagree with this list one iota, actually. The second list is good too, actually. Mitchell Robinson was good, Landry Shamet, Colin Sexton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Kevin Huerter from the Atlanta Hawks. So this is intriguing to me. Trae Young and Luka both had 100 votes unanimously. Like, straight across the board, every single person.
Ayton was at 95. They almost had 3 unanimous first-team All-NBA rookies.
Yeah. Well, they did great. And Marvin Bagley's a beast, too, man.
Yeah.
And Jaren Jackson did. I mean, like I said, I have no qualms whatsoever with this, and that's very intriguing to me that literally it's the first 5 picks.
Isn't it funny, though, that so you got the first 5 picks in the draft are All-NBA for rookies? Or they're on the rookie team. But the 5 and 4 are 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Those 2 teams traded with each other.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, though, is it means the GMs did a good job.
Finally,
right?
Yes.
Because it hasn't been that way. Like, you had Markelle Fultz, the first pick a few years ago, and he's searching for a career. Is Orlando going to be the place that it makes sense to him? I like the landing spot. I'm glad they traded him there.
I think the book's still open on him. It's too early to call him a bust because he had the
injury.
Yeah, the thoracic outlet syndrome issue. So, that plagued him most of his rookie year. They figured it out last year. He had the surgery. Mm-hmm. So, give the kid 2 years, and then you'll figure out if he's actually worth anything.
Good for Orlando. They traded a first pick that wasn't even theirs for him. Yep. They had an extra first rounder. Dude, I would absolutely. You tell me I can give up a pick that would be like 20th in the first round for a kid that was the first pick and has that potential?
Just think
sign me up.
Think if he pans out, him and Mo Bamba together.
Yeah, and they have Jonathan Isaac, who's also came into his own this year. So there's Orlando's got something brewing, man. They're a playoff team too. They fought hard.
Yep.
They didn't get their butts just handed to them. They were in every game. But this is good, man, because NBA GMs are wonky. And there's been, I think that after people let Dennis Smith fall, because Dennis Smith, say what you want, fell to 9 and shouldn't have been, right?
Yeah.
And then Donovan Mitchell, I think that a lot of teams had looked at themselves in the mirror and like, are we doing this wrong?
Absolutely.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, are we over analyzing the situation where we're just passing on raw talent because we're getting too analytical here, or we're getting too with the situation? So I'm happy to see that the GMs nailed it because, man, that's what franchises deserve, man. I'm not a hater.
It's
I don't
not so
want
much
people,
about franchises deserve. Sorry to cut you off.
For the fan base.
It's more the fans deserve.
Because the NBA is a long season.
It's super long.
If your team sucks, it's hard, man.
It's like watching baseball nowadays. Baseball's hard to watch.
If you're a Rangers fan, sure. If you're a fan of a team that's not good, because it's such a small reward, right? Like for the Mavs, me this year being a bad team was exciting because you get to watch Luka, and it could be a potential highlight every night. You had that, and then you had Dirk on his last season, on his last walk. But if you're an Atlanta fan, you've got this young core. You're like, okay, man, we have all this because Dallas and Atlanta are forever going to be joined at the hip. They made the trade with each other. Atlanta's getting an extra draft pick out of it, and they have all this cap space. So just like the Mavs do, so Atlanta can build something special too. So I bet you their fans a lot felt just like we did, watching Trae Young do magical things. And then you have teams like Oklahoma, who are great, but have no money. Houston, really good, but there's really no money. Like, how much wiggle room do you have? What can you do?
Those teams that are established right now and have no money are going to get old fast.
Well, you look at Chris Paul, is officially has the worst contract in the NBA now.
Yes.
Like, for his age and the way he gets injured, and I think that he's still locked in for 2 more years, it officially becomes a contract you wish you weren't in. And it's funny because I used to listen to NBA radio a lot on Sirius, and that was exactly when they were offering the extension to him. One of the fellows on there, I forget his name, said that this is going to be the worst contract in the NBA in 2 years. So
the guy hasn't stayed healthy in the last 5 years.
No, he's a great player though. He really is. I mean, Houston was very good in the playoffs, and it's just Golden State. Golden State gonna Golden State, man. Golden State is gonna Golden State. So speaking of rookies, Chris and I both broke down a mock draft for the NBA. Now, there hasn't really been too many combine visits yet, too much chatter. This really starts heating up in the next 10 days. Once the NBA Finals is almost done and the NBA draft's getting close, which is in June. But just to go over how the picks go, Pelicans have first pick. The Grizzlies are at 2. The Knicks are at 3. The Lakers are at 4. We've got the Cavs at 5. Phoenix at 6. Chicago 7. Atlanta 8. Wiz at 9. Atlanta back at 10 again. So Chris and I did our best to do our first mock draft 1.0 of just the top 10 right now. In my opinion, there's not enough facts to go past 10, really. Really, there's not enough facts to go past 5 right now, honestly. But we did 10. So I think it's safe to say, I haven't looked at Chris's list yet, but I think it's safe to say we both have Zion at 1-1 going to the Pelicans.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're both there. Now, dare I say we're both also joined at the hip on pick 2 with Ja Morant going to Memphis.
100%, because they've already said, we want this guy.
Okay, so number 3. Who do you have going to the New York Knicks at 3?
R.J. Barrett, shooting forward from Duke.
I also have R.J. Barrett going to the Knicks. Okay.
I think, like you said, the first 5 is...
It's pretty locked in.
We may have 4 and 5 swapped, but I think we got them nailed down together.
4 for the Lakers. Who do you have them drafting?
Jarrett Culver from Tech.
Okay. We're going to be different now.
Okay.
I have the Lakers taking DeAndre Hunter.
I got DeAndre Hunter going 8.
I have Culver going 8. I love how we seem to do that always.
Yes.
I don't get that. That's funny. At 5, Cavs. Who do you have them drafting?
This guy might be a little bit of a surprise. He came on real big last year for the University of Texas. You said Cavs?
Yeah, at 5.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. Jackson Hayes, the center from Texas.
Oh, nice. I have the Cavs taking Cam Reddish. 6 is Phoenix. Who you got?
I got Cody White from North Carolina, point guard.
I do as well. They need a point guard. They've needed one for quite some time.
Absolutely, they did.
And let's see. Number 7 is Chicago. Who do you have?
Darius Garland.
I have Chicago going with Rui Hachimura.
I'm not familiar with Rui Hachimura.
I think he's going to be a top 10 pick, dude. I don't know if it's going to be Chicago. I heard rumors that they're interested. I've heard rumors about Atlanta as well and the Wizards. So that 7 to 10 range, I think they make sense for Chicago with build and money they have.
Yeah.
So, but it's weird because in the NFL, the draft comes after free agency. So you can see the direction the teams want to go. In the draft, it's so weird because you really can't trade in the draft because nobody signed contracts yet. Like we were talking last podcast episode about trading draft picks, and you really don't do it because nobody signed their 1-year deals yet. There's really no pieces to move.
Yeah, you
can't sign it. It's just a wacky. It's just I like it. It's totally different, but it's so different. So we have Atlanta number 8. Who do you have them taking?
They got DeAndre Hunter,
and I have them taking Jarrett Culver.
Yep.
We have the Wiz at number 9. Who do you have them taking?
Bol center.
Oregon. I like Bol. I don't think he's going to go in the top 10 though. I've got Darius Garland.
The Virginia kid?
Yes.
Or Vanderbilt kid. Excuse me.
And then number 10?
I'm going foreign, and I'm going with Soko Diomboya.
Okay. I've got Atlanta taking Nassar Little. So we both got a foreign guy in the top 10. Just a different foreign guy.
Yes.
And we have 2 players swapped, and for the most part, we have the same top 10. So I think there's 2 players different on each of our lists. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I'm excited to break it down. The Mavs have their first pick is 37. And I think you can almost bet your bottom dollar it's going to be a foreign player.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can stash them better. And as far as salary cap reasons go, you can send them straight to the D-League and let them develop. Unless somebody falls. I mean, we got Jalen Brunson in the second round last year, and he is probably all NBA third team for the rookies. If they don't do that, but if they did, he's probably there, and that's impressive if you think about it. If you're named in the top 20 of the rookies, but yet you were in the bottom 40 drafted, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I was impressed with his game. Is he great? No. Is he legendary? Not at all. But he certainly could be a poor man JJ Barea for the Mavs moving forward. That's good enough for me.
He was good enough to help us win a championship, wasn't he?
JJ was. Yes, he was. And then he got a free agent deal with Minnesota. So that was crazy good.
Yeah.
So let's look at the draft coming up. So with the draft happening, obviously in the NBA, the trades happen on draft night, right? There's not a lot of movement before.
No.
So, we talked in the NFL. I was real bullish for the Raiders moving up to get Kyler Murray because I'm a Derek Carr hater. Like, I will tout against Derek Carr my entire life and not liking him. And then not so much in the NBA. It's kind of like and in the NBA it's weird too because they still draft. So like Atlanta still drafted Luka. Like Luka still had to put an Atlanta hat on, right? And then they swapped after.
It's stupid.
It's very weird. It's very dated in its process. So, but normally that's when the movements happen. Same thing with Dirk. Dirk was drafted by Milwaukee, even though they agreed to swap picks. So I don't know if there's gonna be chatter about movement or whatever else. I know that the Lakers are shopping that pick. You know they are.
They won Anthony Davis.
They're not. It's not going to happen. They flat out. The Pelicans ownership said flat out, it ain't happening. We ain't doing this trade. No way, no how. So I don't know, man. I broke it down last episode. I think Tatum's the guy. I think that's where you go. That's what you want.
You think LeBron's going to get old in LA by himself?
No, they'll bring people in. It's LA.
Who? Nobody signed there last year. Paul George said, "I'm not going to LA."
Yeah, there's more people this year, so by default, I think they will. I think that they'll get Kyrie Irving or Jimmy Butler. I think one of the two is going to go there. I'm not sure which one. It'll probably be Butler too. I bet you it'll be Jimmy Butler because Lonzo Ball will be there, and they'll give him one more go or move him during the season. But I think Jimmy Butler's the guy. I think Kyrie teaming up with Durant, I think, will be a thing. I really do.
I do. I hope those two go to New York together.
I think it will happen, man. And the reason why I think it'll happen is Kyrie's already done the story with LeBron and won a championship. He wants to write another story. That's the way these players kind of think.
Well, Kyrie wanted to leave Cleveland because he wanted to be able to prove he could run his own team.
Right.
And win a championship without LeBron. So, if he goes to New York and wins a championship, it won't be, it took Kevin Durant to help him win a championship. It'll be Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant won a championship.
Right. No, for sure. Absolutely.
Because in Cleveland, it was LeBron James has won a championship. He carried the team.
Right.
Kyrie was hurt.
The first year. The second year.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was hurt. He missed the entire series. Like
Dellavedova
was the starting point guard during the finals.
Kyrie broke his kneecap.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
This is rough.
Yeah.
I wish he could stay healthy. He's so good, man.
Yeah.
He really is one of my favorite players to watch.
He's the top 3-point guard if he could stay healthy.
I love it, dude. Yeah, I think you're right though, man. Like, we're not hating on him by not wanting him to be on the top 15 list, but I think he missed 25 games.
Hell, if the kid could stay healthy, I'd love him to be a Maverick.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all. So I think that's it for the NBA until we get to the finals.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think this is over tomorrow. I think Raptors close them out. Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's going 7.
You think Milwaukee's going to win if that happens, right?
No, I think Toronto. I think the way it is, I think Toronto's going to win. I don't think Toronto's going to lose 2 in a row in this series again.
Wow, I'm intrigued, man.
I think Toronto's going to. I have the Bucks picked to win, but I think Toronto's going to win it in 7.
So chances are that you and I will be drunk on the lake when this, not know what happens. See the alert on our phone this weekend. So we're going to touch on MLB real quick to before we go to the NFL. Just to kind of touch on standings and where the MLB is and kind of some thoughts on things that are happening. Dude, how about the Yankees, man? Like, for real. They have 13 people on IL. They just... Aguilar is done for the year. Stanton just sent back down. Judge hasn't even started hitting yet. And they're first in the AL East at 32-17. In fact, they're third in the AL. That's... Color me impressed, dude. And they have a 3-game lead on the Rays. I'm impressed with that.
That's ridiculous.
Right? I mean, that's darn good, dude.
And I hate the Yankees.
I tip my hat to that. We both talked about them winning the division. And we thought the Rays were on a tear to start the year. They're still very good. The Rays are in the wild card right now. I mean, they have a 5-game lead on wild card, so the Rays will absolutely be in the playoffs if they keep playing where they're playing right now. Red Sox are on the borderline as well at 27. And then teams that are in the hunt, the Rangers, man, they don't have enough. I don't think they're going to be there, but they're doing exactly what I thought.
They're one of the best hitting and scoring teams in baseball.
Yeah.
They're terrible at pitching.
Well, their pitching is better than we thought it was going to be, but it's still terrible.
Yeah, I think the Rangers lead the league in runs per game.
Yeah, the Rangers we thought the pitching was going to be terrible, and the Rangers pitching is just bad. So it's like there's a terrible bracket and then there's a bad bracket. The Rangers are somewhere there.
They have the worst team ERA in baseball. They have a 5.1.
So maybe it is terrible.
It is terrible.
Maybe it is. The Mariners completely fell apart. So good call there, Chris.
They started out 12-2.
Yeah, good call there, Chris. Cleveland's having kind of a rough year, but they're starting to kind of figure it out.
They're like my fantasy team.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I think that, man, it looks like in my opinion, I think you're going to have 3 teams from the AL East go to the playoffs, is what it looks like. And it looks like the play-in game will be the Red Sox and the Rays. And then you're going to have the Twins. The Twins got a commanding lead on the Indians. 8 games ain't no joke in baseball, man. That's a full week plus. That's hard to make up.
Well, it used to be a lot, but, the Rangers had a 14-game lead at the All-Star break before and lost it.
This is true. So on the National League, you have the Phillies who've just pretty much in command the whole year. They've been number 1 in the NL East the whole time. The Braves are nipping at their heels, 28-23. The Cubs and the Brewers are both at 29 wins in NL Central. And then the Dodgers are just 32-18. And, hey, I was giving the Padres some love, and they're in the mix, man, 26-24. They're in the hunt.
They're just young.
But they could make if they go on a little run, they could make a push. But, man, you got the Brewers, you got the Braves, you got the Mets. So that's a tough battle to climb. But those are the teams they're vying for Mets, as of right now.
The Mets just lost to Pettis. I mean, they lost a big piece of their team.
They did. But injured on his ranch?
Yeah, freak accident on his ranch. Had ankle surgery yesterday or today.
Yeah, done for the year, right?
Yeah.
Eesh.
Is it Tebow time?
No, it's never, ever. In fact, don't ever say that again. I'm just kidding.
Tebow time!
It is Tebow time. So Vlad's starting to pick up. People were actually calling for on Toronto. I know that we're going to go back to the American League real quick, but people were calling for Vlad to be sent down because he sucked. Like bad, like his first 10 days, but I think he has 5 home runs in the last 8 days, and he's starting to hit with power. He's looking good. Found a stroke, starting to do it, man. So good for him. I'm a big Vlad supporter, and so is my fantasy team. Oddly enough,
yeah,
they're also a big Vlad supporter.
If I remember this correctly, Jeff Bagwell's son's about to be called up for them too.
Yeah, he plays today. Actually, this is Friday. Yeah. If you're listening to the pod live, whenever this is uploaded here after the episode, he'll be playing tonight.
So they'll have 2.
Yeah, 2X.
2 X's, yeah.
And stop me if I'm wrong. Biggio played for Colorado, right? Didn't he? Was that what team he was on?
Biggio played for the Astros.
The Astros and Colorado's Astros.
He might have came up with Colorado, but I know he finished his career with the Astros.
Okay. So good stuff, man. And he's supposed to be a beast too. So that's good for them. They have some young pieces, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, they really do.
So on to the NFL. As we said, we're doing a part where Chris and I every single week are breaking down an NFL division. We have 2 divisions left in the AFC. We are breaking down the AFC North today. I have the Ravens and the Bengals, and Chris has everyone's champion, Browns and the Steelers. Next week is the West, which is the Chiefs division. We will be breaking that down, and then we'll move on to the NFC. So, before we cover this, Chris and I are pretty pumped right now. On Monday, we're actually recording our first Create a Rank podcast. Now, for those of you who don't know what Create a Rank is, let me explain. I actually have the little header saved in my phone that I'm supposed to read during every podcast, so I'm going to read it to our Chew on Sports peeps. I actually had a phone conversation with Alex today, who is our boss man. So, Create a Rank. This podcast is brought to you by CreateARank.com. It's our brand new fantasy football website where you, the fan, can create your own set of customized player rankings. We have a great team putting out content every day in a form of articles, videos, podcasts, and more. We also offer a 20-minute one-on-one chat with a site expert, completely free for 2019. For more, follow us on Twitter @CreatorRank, and check us out on Facebook and YouTube. So what's awesome about CreatorRank.com is, number one, they believe in Chris and I enough to let us host the main podcast. So that's exciting. We actually have our buddy Lee, who just moved from Australia. Home dude spent 5 months in Australia. 5 months. He got back Monday. I had a phone conversation with him Wednesday night. So he's amped up and ready to go. So we're going to... He lives in New York, I think. So he's a little bit ahead of us on time, but not too bad. And we're going to break down a bunch of fantasy goodness for everybody. But what's cool about the website is basically all of our leagues have different rules, right? Some people are PPR, some people are standard, some people are 2 quarterback, some people are whatever, fill in the blank, right? So what's cool about this website is you're going to be able to put those settings in and make your rankings happen. So how many times have you been like, man, I really like this guy's rankings, but their PPR in my league's not PPR. What would he think of this? So you can kind of do the algorithm and pop that in and create your rankings off of that. They can help you make a decision like, man, is PPR, should I go Le'Veon Bell or Melvin Gordon, right? They're probably going to be pretty close in the rankings. Which guy should I go? This can kind of maybe help you make that decision. There's also a podcast on that Chris and I are not a part of that's going to be about dynasties for those of you who are interested. And there's going to be a group of dudes who actually break down your drafts. So you're actually able to submit your draft to them, and they will look at your whole league, and they'll break it down and think who sucks and who's awesome. So that's pretty cool. So bringing a lot of cool stuff to the table. So on to fantasy football aspect of it. Chris and I are in our first dynasty league. We're actually, as a group, there's 14 of us, we're actually doing a dynasty draft that starts tomorrow.
It's actually really cool. I like the platform that we're using for this.
Oh yeah, what's the app? Sleeper? The Sleeper app?
Yeah, the Sleeper app. It's the coolest app I've ever seen for fantasy
football.
Oh,
it's awesome. It's so easy to communicate, right?
Yeah, and you can trade picks on it
right
immediately. There's no, the commit makes a trade during the draft and all that, and you just do it kind of there. You can submit actual trades. Like, we're doing a 28-round draft, or 32-round draft. It's crazy, I know.
Yeah.
But everybody's going through making picks. I'm trying to trade the 6th to get the 6th overall pick, because I'm trying to get the guy's first at 9, and then his second, and try and get an extra second-round pick. So, it's really cool how you can do this. It's like being an actual commissioner.
Yeah, I offered a guy, because I wanted to get an extra second, right? He offered me the second pick, 2-4, so I basically would have 3 picks in the top 15, but then I wouldn't have a third or fourth. And I'm okay with that, but I want a 6th too. I don't want to give up 8. I want 2 picks for 2.
Yeah.
But he didn't accept it.
Yeah.
He said no. He's like, I'll give you the 3rd pick and the 4th pick for the second. Or no, I'm sorry, I give him the 3rd and 4th for the second, but I'm okay doing that, but I want a 6th pick too, so I can try to get my picks back, but he said no.
Well, I offered the 6th pick in the first round for his 9th pick, and then his second round pick, and we would swap 7th.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It's cool that you can share gifts and you can communicate real easily with your league too. It's got a real open chat. The draft board automatically updates. Like if I click on the draft board right now on the Sleep app, I can see the trades. It shows what happens. So It's pretty nifty. So a dynasty draft, for those of you who don't know, what dynasty is it means it's your whole team's a keeper. So the team that I draft starting tomorrow, which we have 8 hours per pick, by the way.
Yeah, it's a slow pick.
So that's awesome. I have 8th pick, so I'll be picking Monday probably, but maybe not. If the first 7 picks happen immediately, boom, 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 then all of a sudden I'm on the clock for 8 hours, right? So who knows? I could be picking while we're driving to the lake tomorrow. But bottom line is that you keep the team, and then every year I think you cut 4 people, and then you have a 4-round rookie draft. Is how that works, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you can always trade picks and do this and do that and everything else. So, quarterbacks like Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, they're ranked way down. Like, for instance, you have Kyler Murray ranked above them because they're on the end of their careers. And we're not trying to draft guys at the end of their careers. This is a dynasty thing. It's supposed to go on and keep the players. So it's an intriguing concept. We've done redraft, we've done keepers, but never done this. So
you gotta think
I'm pretty pumped.
It's 32 rounds. It's 2 quarterback league.
Yes, I've never done a 2 quarterback league either.
I don't. That's got me thinking: is the value of a quarterback go up, or does it stay where it would in a normal?
It does. I'm not sure where you even draft one. I think you just go with the flow. If people start picking quarterbacks, you pick quarterbacks. Is what you have to do. Because otherwise, it's not like running backs where you can just wait and play 0 RB and try to find somebody.
I mean,
you can't play 0 QB.
Just think in the 32nd round, who am I going to pick? I thought 16 rounds was hard.
Yeah, for real. It's gonna be something, that's for sure. So I'm pumped up and excited about that. And Chris and I will report back to you and update you guys next week. We'll still be drafting actually during our show next week, but we'll share we'll share who we got, and we're also going to talk about it as well on our first ever fantasy football podcast, which we do Monday. So that'll be fun, and I'll make sure that we tweet that from our personal Twitters as well for everyone, so you guys can give that a listen and check out and see what we're about. So on to the AFC North, Chris. So I'm going to let you start.
North.
I'm going to let you start for the North.
Winter's coming.
Are you doing Are you doing the Browns or the Steelers first?
I'm going to do the team that I'm projecting to finish first in the North.
Is that the Steelers or the Browns?
That is the Steelers.
Okay, good for you. I'm glad that we agree with this. Okay.
I teased Zach a little bit last week, said the Browns are going to win the division. The Browns haven't proved that they're going to win the division. We don't know what they're going to be yet. Yeah, they got fancy stuff. But on to the Steelers. I know the Steelers have two really big losses. Everybody knows who they lost, AB and Lev Bell. It's going to be really hard to replace, but you still got Juju. You got James Washington. You drafted a speedy wide receiver this year in the draft. And then you've got James Conner. You still got capable players. And
I like Jalen Samuels too, man. The running back from last year that came on when Conner got injured.
That is true.
And who did they draft? They drafted a running back too, right?
I didn't write everybody down.
I forget his name. You keep talking. I'll pull it up.
So I've got them predicted to go 10-6, finish first in the division. They had a really big need at linebacker. We all know Ryan Shazier's got the spinal cord injury and all that. He's trying to come back. I don't think he will. This is his second year out from this injury. I think he should just be more worried about getting back to a normal functionality and just being him.
Right.
They drafted Devin Bush, the kid from Michigan. He's going to be really good, I think. The Steelers will be the best team in the division. They'll finish 10-6. It's hard to imagine two guys with the caliber AB had and Lev Bell leaving.
Benny Snell.
Benny Snell. Benny Snell.
I agree, man. But you know what? I don't know, man. It's funny because you look at this in a bubble, right? So you say that losing AB is not a big deal. That's what the franchise is saying. That's what the fans are saying. And by us both agreeing that they're going to win the division, that's kind of what we're both saying, right? But did they win the last game of the year without AB?
No.
When it was an absolute must-win, and they win and they're in the playoffs? What happened?
They lost.
They also didn't have Connor, though.
Yeah.
Bell didn't even suit up for them last year. I like what I saw from Ben. So what do you have the record as?
10-6.
Yeah. That's about right, man.
Yeah. I don't think the North is going to be as good as they have been in the past.
I think you're going to beat the piss out. I mean, that's one common denominator with football is that this year, for the most part, we have everybody kind of close. But I agree with your assessment. So I guess you have them starting off with a loss to the Patriots?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, go through their schedule here a little bit and pull it up. I have them losing to the Patriots. I haven't beaten the Seahawks, beaten the 49ers, beaten the Bengals. And then I've got them losing to the Ravens. I haven't beaten the Ravens, and then losing their next game at the Chargers. And then they're going to beat the Dolphins. And then they got the Colts. I think they'll lose to the Colts and the Rams. And they're going to go play at Cleveland. I got them losing 3 in a row right there.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they'll beat the Bengals, and then they got the Browns at home. They'll win that one. And then they got the Cardinals. They'll win that.
It's kind of funny when you break down, and I'm going to get to the Ravens here in a second. It's funny when you break down these teams because so much can be said about the schedule when the season starts, right?
Yeah.
You look at who plays the Chiefs week 1. Is it 2 road games to start? There's a lot to be said. I mean,
or you get screwed like the Cowboys.
Right. You don't ever have 2 home games in a row, but yet you start off. The Cowboys legitimately could start 3-1 easily from looking at the schedule. They should.
Yeah.
So that helps you on tough runs because there's a and we'll get to the Cowboys another day, another time. But there's a part of their schedule they could legit drop 4 games in a row and still win 10 games.
Yeah, after week 7.
So I look at the Ravens schedule and they kind of have exactly the opposite. Now, do I think the Ravens are better than the Browns? I do, because of longer coaching tree, because of just better defense. I do think Baker's better than Lamar for obvious reasons, right? But The schedule. When I look at the schedule, I see the way things start for the Ravens, and I think they're going to kind of jump out. I have the Ravens as being 9-7, is the record I have them as. Okay. Key adds for the Ravens this year was my boy Earl Thomas, who. Is he going to be the best safety in the league? No. But in the Ravens scheme, I think he's going to do just fine. They added Mark Ingram as well, who's going to be a good role player in the run game. They added my favorite rookie, Hollywood Brown. Also, another wide receiver, Miles Boyton. And the running back, Justice Hill. So they just have a bunch of speed and playmakers they've surrounded around Lamar Jackson. So I'm about that life. I like that. So let's talk about schedule, right? Listen to the first 4 games that they play. They play a home game to start the season versus the Dolphins. They play a home game week 2 versus the Cardinals. Week 3 is the Chiefs. Week 4 is the Browns, but in Baltimore. Then they play the Steelers, then they play the Bengals, then they play the Hawks. So one of the reasons why I think they're going to be the second best team is just of timing of schedule and the way that they start. The Ravens, whether or not they're a better team than the Browns or not, and that debate will be had during the season, are one of the tougher teams to beat on the road. Winning in Baltimore is not easy, regardless of what their team looks like. It's kind of like Denver, right? It's a tough place to win. So I have them starting off with a win versus the Dolphins, with a win versus the Cardinals, losing to the Chiefs, beating the Browns because it's a home game, losing to the Steelers, it's in Pittsburgh, beating the Bengals, losing to the Hawks, and it's their bye. They come out of their bye to the Patriots. I have them losing. I have them beating the Bengals again, beating the Texans, losing to the Rams, beating the 49ers, beating Buffalo, beating the Jets, losing to the Browns, and then finishing the season losing to the Steelers for a grand total of 9-7. Can they go 8-8? Sure. Can they go 10-6? Sure. I think you could make an argument that possibly you could trade wins in one direction. I think it would be more likely the 8 wins than the 10, possibly.
I don't trust the quarterback.
And you might be right, man. You might be. They certainly put everything around him to give him every opportunity to succeed, so I do appreciate that. And he showed flashes last year, but he also showed in the playoffs a flash of not being able to do anything
until
whatsoever.
The fourth quarter when the Chargers had already said we've won this in the last.
No. I mean, he showed flashes of not being able to play. They shut him down. I don't care about what you do in garbage time.
Yeah,
I'm with you. The Chargers but also though the Chargers got to play him twice. Remember the first time they played on Saturday Night Football, he handled them. So they were able to develop a scheme. So I'm intrigued with tape and everything else. Is he going to be able to expand his game and all of that good stuff? So I have them at 9-7.
I hope so. I'm not rooting against the kid.
Yeah.
I want him to succeed. I'm not rooting against any of these players.
Right. No.
Regardless if it's a team I don't like. You as a human being, I hope you do well.
Unless you're a Raider, I don't like you. I'm just kidding. So we've got up next is the Browns. What you got with the Browns?
The Browns.
Talk to me about the Browns.
You know, most of the time when you talk about the Browns, it's all about the Browns.
The 2021 draft hosting Browns.
That is true. They are hosting the 2021 draft. The Browns, for the first time in forever last year, brought hope to that city.
Yeah.
By a kid out of Oklahoma named Baker Mayfield.
They were a fun team, too.
They were a fun team. I loved watching them.
One of the better Thursday Night Football games was the Jets versus the Browns.
Yeah.
Baker started versus Sam Darnold. Where did he even start? He took the job from Tyrod.
Yeah.
Tyrod
That was a fantastic
That was
game.
a fun game.
Yes, I enjoyed it. I've been a Browns fan ever since last year.
Okay, yeah.
Put me on the bandwagon, I cannot lie. But I only have them projected to win 9 games this year.
Okay.
I figured that was good enough to win, finish second. You know, they got OBJ, which is a huge get. I mean, you put him with Landry, and then Njoku, the tight end.
Right. You got Callaway.
You got Callaway, the speedster, and then you've got the running backs. You got Chubb. Then you've got Kareem Hunt, who they just signed.
Newly baptized Kareem Hunt.
Newly baptized.
He just got baptized.
He is suspended the first 8 games of the season. So that'll be a big get for them in the second half of the season.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, fresh legs running. That's going to be good. Duke Johnson's still there. He doesn't want to be there, but he is.
I wonder if he'll still be there by the time the season starts.
I think he'll get traded
During training camp?
after cuts. Teams will be like, all right, guy got hurt. Yeah, I think that's when Duke Johnson will get traded.
I think you're right.
If Cleveland was smart, they would have traded him to the Cowboys last year, but that's just me being a homer. So they got Gerald McCoy in right now, or coming in soon to visit to help shore up that defensive line. I bet he signs with Cleveland. That's where he said he's going first visit. I think Cleveland will sign him. That'll be a big get for their defense. Their defense has got, Myles Garrett anchoring it. You got Myles Garrett. You've got everything you need to build an elite defense. He's one of the top 3 pass rushers in the league.
So if we're playing video game football,
that's the team I'm using.
That's the team you're using.
Yeah.
Because they're that dangerous.
Good luck.
So why do we think they're not the best team in the league?
They haven't proved it. They won 7 games last year from winning 0 games the year before. Congratulations. But you haven't proved that you can win anything yet.
How do they start? Give me their first 4 games.
Cleveland's first 4 games of the year, they're at home against the Titans, at the Jets, at home versus the Rams, at the Ravens.
Wow, they could start 1-3.
They could.
I don't think they will. 2-2 is probably more likely, huh? Is that what you have them as, or you have them 3-1?
I actually have them on a surprise loss to the Titans week 1.
So 2-2 to start the year.
Yeah, I think
I agree with you.
I think all the hype and everything coming out of training camp and everything, it's going to be in their head, and I think they're going to do a look ahead because they got because they're going to have the Jets next week, Monday night.
Well, the Titans are a good defensive team too. They'll want to punch them. They are.
They can run the ball too.
Yeah, they want to punch them in the mouth.
Derrick Henry running the ball. I'm not trying to tackle that man.
No.
He pranked me. So I got them starting out actually 1-3. They're gonna dig out of a hole to see who they really are. So I got them losing to the Titans. They'll beat the Jets on the road. They'll lose to the Rams. They're going to lose to the Ravens. They're going to lose their first 2 games at home. And then they're going to come back and they're going to beat the 49ers. They're going to beat the Seahawks at home. Lose to the Patriots. Beat the Broncos. Beat the Bills. And then I got them losing to the Steelers. Then they got the Dolphins will beat the Dolphins and Steelers. They're going to have a tough season.
Oh, for sure. And I don't disagree. It's so hard for me because there's one thing that I've learned in the NFL is that in the NFL you win from drafting well, keeping your team, and adding a few pieces here and there to that formula to be good, right? To go from good to great, so to speak, kind of like what the Rams are doing, where they homegrown Gurley, Goff, and then they add a Brandon Cooks. They add, you know what I mean? They added a Sue last year. So the teams that win free agency, which clearly, between the trade and that, I would say the Browns won free agency, right? So it normally doesn't equal division title and playoff wins. Yep. Look at the Eagles. Remember the year they thought the Eagles when they had Vic and they signed the cornerback who was with the Raiders. What was his name? Gosh, it escapes me.
I know you're talking about who was terrible after he left the Raiders.
And he couldn't do anything there, right? So people were like, "Oh my gosh, they're winning the Super Bowl." Maybe the Cowboys won the division that year, if I'm not mistaken. So it's crazy to think how these things kind of pan out. Now I think one team that we're both in agreement on is that I'm rooting for the Browns. I'm rooting for their fans. I want them to do well. One team I think that is going to be the 4th best team in that division is the Bengals. I don't think there's any way around it.
Nope.
I like Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's my boy. Spoiler alert, if he's available at number 8 in our fantasy draft, that's probably where I'm going to go, by the way. But I like Mixon. That's my dude. But I just... I have them starting 1-8. It's murderer's row. Listen to this schedule, right? First off, the two people they added in the draft, they added offensive line, which they needed. They added a tight end, which they needed. So I like the picks. Really nothing added in free agency for the most part. Just a couple role players here and there. No. So that if they open the season in Seattle, then they play the 49ers. Then they play the Bills. Then they play the Steelers. Then they play the Cardinals. Then they play the Ravens. Then they play the Jags. Then they play the Rams.
Good luck.
Yikes! Who's the win? Who's the lone win, you think?
The Bills.
No. It's the Cardinals. I have them beating the Cardinals.
That's right.
That's the one win I have them. Then they play the Ravens again, then the Raiders, then the Steelers, then the Jets, then the Browns, then the Pats, then the Dolphins.
You got them winning 2 games.
And then than the Browns again. I have them being 4-12. That's being generous, I think. That is murderer's row.
Are they getting to it?
Probably. They probably will have a top 5 pick, if not the top pick in the draft. That they're going to start 1-8, dude, and they're probably going to bench Andy Dalton when that happens. Like that. That's when you do it, right? In football, you don't tank on purpose because you never know. If they start 3-1 in the first 4 games, you keep playing, dude. But by my count, by looking at this, you're not going into Seattle and winning in Seattle on the opening weekend of the NFL. No one will, right? Let alone the Bengals. So I'll gladly eat crow if I'm wrong, but not really too much added. So that is our breakdown. I think, surprisingly, Chris and I do disagree on quite a bit, as you listeners hear on our podcast. But so far on our breakdowns, we've been pretty even, Steven, and I think we've been pretty in agreement on what we each break down. We don't talk beforehand. That's what kind of makes it fun. Is I kind of diverge the teams, and then we kind of just go and give our thoughts and go from there. So next week we're doing the West, which is the Chiefs, it's the Chargers, it's the Broncos, and it's the Raiders. So
it's the best division of football.
We'll break that down. I don't think it is. I really don't.
They had 3 teams make the playoffs in that division last year.
Broncos didn't make the playoffs.
That's right, they did not. That was the year before.
It was. So we'll see. It can be. Don't get me wrong. If the Raiders, I don't think the Raiders are going to be good at all. But if the Raiders can put something together and be competitive, then you're right. Because Denver's a competitive team. They won 7 games last year, I think. So they're a competitive team. They're young and they're adding pieces. They're exciting now. I mean,
quarterback.
You got Joe Flacco there. You got Drew Lock in waiting. So you got a bunch of action happening.
Yeah.
So we'll be breaking that down. So I'm excited to bring those nuggets to you. We will not do an NBA mock draft for next week because, quite frankly, nothing is going to change unless something does change. If a weird trade happens or something like that, we will absolutely further break that down and talk about that. But other than that, last week I promised a John Wick review. I did see it. Chris has not seen it yet. It was fantastic. So I'm not going to spoil anything for my man Chris since he's not seen it, but I'll tell you one thing. Halle Berry's dogs are freaking savages. It's awesome. And it had, the body count was more period than any of the John Wick movies, and that's saying a lot because there's been a lot of...
Did you hear they greenlit John Wick 4?
I did. I'm excited. And I know why, but I'm not going to tell you or the audience so you can go out and see it. This movie absolutely deserves your money. It is old school, 90s throwback, very little plot, straight action. How can we do this? How can we do that? The plot does make sense. It picks up about 15 minutes after the second movie. Like, literally, right there. So when the second movie ends, it's within 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it's because he's running.
Right. That's exactly where it picks up, which is good. I like that. It didn't go like a year in hiding or something like that. It's just boom. So the whole story of John Wick is like 3 weeks in these movies, I believe. I'm not mistaken. But 2 thumbs up for me. Fun movie. My family enjoyed it. Even my wife, who's not huge on all the killing and action, I think liked it for what it was. And I'll have to go see Aladdin with her now because I drug her to that. But I'll fall on the sword.
Maybe we do date night for Aladdin because my wife wants to go see Aladdin.
Maybe we'll see that Monday after we do our pod.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. So that's what we got. Chris, do you have anything else for the people this week?
Real quick nuggets for the Stars.
Okay.
They signed Esa Lindell to a 6-year, $34.8 million deal.
Nice.
He's the only guy for them that played all 82 games last year. He had 11 goals and 21 assists during that. He plus minus the 14. He was a really good piece to that team. So he's turning 25, just turned 25. So he's a young piece to keep growing that Stars team.
Man, I think the Stars are going to be good for a while. Plus, they got a lot of money to spend.
They do. And I hope they spend it wisely.
I hope they bring back Zuccarello too. I like that dude.
Better bring back Zuccarello.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like him. I like him a lot.
I like it a lot. I do.
So we'll see. Oh, speaking of which, Madden, real quick, they've been releasing a bunch of stuff recently. Did you see this? That they're trying to cater to the... I don't even know what to think about this, man. They're trying to cater to the online people where there's like nothing before the play. Like it's like you do a play and then immediately you're back to the line of scrimmage. Like there's no walk up or anything.
That's weird.
They haven't shown it live yet. EA plays in 2 weeks and we're gonna see everything, but I don't know how I feel about that. I was really hyped about Madden. Like really hyped. Like we talked about it, right? But I don't know if I'm feeling that, man. But that's more topic. They did a gameplay deep dive. They didn't show anything yet, so I'm gonna not talk about Madden again until I see it at EA Play.
Yeah.
And then we will give our thoughts the Wednesday after that. So that is Chew on Sports for the week. We appreciate you listening. We're gonna have a great holiday weekend. You guys, if you haven't listened to the pod yet, have a great holiday weekend. If it is the weekend, keep enjoying your weekend. If it's Memorial Day, we salute you. Enjoy your day. And if it's after Memorial Day, I hope you enjoyed your Memorial Day. So Chris and I got a lot of exciting things coming up, and we're excited to do 2 podcasts a week and try to balance everything out and be even more awesome and deliver every single week. That is it. This is Chew on Sports. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you later.
Peace.